Sunday, December 31st, 2017, New Year's Eve. As I look back on 2017, one of my anchors during this tumultuous year has been all of you and this hour every Sunday morning when we come together. No matter what issues or troubles I may be dealing with on a personal or family or even national level, they're replaced by a happy, peaceful feeling. As soon as Bill starts playing, enter, rejoice, and come in. When it's time for joys and sorrows, that happy, peaceful feeling grows to include compassion for others. When we pause for meditation and reflection, I feel a connection to the sacred energy filling the room. When we sing the children off to RE, I feel better about the future, encouraged by their presence as little teachers, as they run off talking, laughing, sometimes crying in rebellion. And then there's the wisdom shared from the pulpit, whether from our interim intern minister, Rita Capizzi, or a fellow member of the congregation who may speak about the wisdom of Snoopy, like only Joan Barron can do, or the wisdom of bees, like only Sam Paul can do, or the wisdom in Beatles music, like only Ken Hutton can do, as well as every other member of this congregation who at one time or another has stood up here to share wisdom from their life experience. This hour, every Sunday morning, is an hour in which I am fully present and grateful. I feel safe here, accepted here, encouraged here, and loved. Thanks for your presence in my life this past year, and thanks in advance for the hours I hope we will share in the year to come. Singing, working, eating, talking, celebrating, and supporting each other, solving the problems of the world together. And now, please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing hymn number 347, Gather the Spirits. Sunday, December 31st, 2017, New Year's Eve day. So here we are, gathered now, in this present moment, on this very cold morning, on the last day of the last month of the 17th year of the 21st century. It's quite natural for all of us to be thinking about time and the passage of time on this particular day, as we stand poised on the very cusp of the old and new, looking back at the year that was, the high points and low points, looking forward to new possibilities with hope in our hearts. We've been talking about hope throughout the month of December, and nowhere do we see it so evident as on the eve of a new year. In a few hours from now, 1 million people are expected to gather in New York City's Times Square, waiting for the big ball to drop, counting down the last 10 seconds of this historic year, 2017, to the very first second of the new year, 2018. 10, 9, 8. The ball starts its descent. 7, 6, 5. Excitement grows. 5, 4, 3, 2. Faces are ecstatic. 1. The crowd screams. Legs jump up and down. Arms embrace. Lips kiss. There's a happy pandemonium lasting a few minutes before the crowd gradually disperses and the cameras return to the parties inside the New York City skyscrapers. In homes across America, millions more will be watching this annual ritual of transition on their television sets. They may offer a quieter toast to the new year with friends and family members and share a few hugs and kisses before returning to their conversations or perhaps retiring. And then there will be millions more who've celebrated this phenomenon 50, 60, maybe 70 times, and probably will wrap up their celebrations early and go to bed at their regular time. I place myself in the last group, the lucky if I make it to 11 crowd. However you choose to welcome in the new year tonight, when you arise tomorrow morning, you'll no doubt put the coffee pot on and resume your normal daily routine as the sun, moon, and stars continue to progress through the heavens, spinning in predictable motion even as the universe expands ever faster and further into infinite time and space. And just as we have our New Year's Eve rituals, we also have our New Year's Day rituals. One of the things I do on New Year's Day is change all the calendars. I'm still a paper person. How wonderful all those blank pages look, so full of promise and possibility. What's interesting about New Year's Eve and our calendar rituals is that both are totally man-made concepts. Throughout time and in different cultures, people have watched the sun, moon, and stars and used their predictable movement to create calendars to organize their daily life, most often to plan their religious holidays. In addition to our Gregorian calendar adopted by Pope Gregory XIII in 1582, there are some 40 other calendars in use today: the Hebrew calendar, the Muslim calendar, the Chinese calendar, the Hindu, the Greek Orthodox. Oh yes, remember the Mayan calendar, which many thought predicted the end of the world back on December 21st, 2012. Thank goodness, that turned out to be only the end of a cycle of 5,000 some years in the Mayan long count calendar. And we all woke up December 22nd and had our coffee. But for all the effort to organize our life into units of time, we don't actually live in time. We don't live in the ticking seconds of the clock or the passing years of the calendar, nor do we live in the past or the future. Those are all mental concepts, just thought forms. As Zen Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us, our appointment with life is right now, with each new breath. That's where we live, here in this breath. It's the only place we can live. We can't breathe in the past. We can't breathe in the future. This beloved mindfulness teacher has a sign in his bedroom, which he reads every morning upon awaking. Breathe, you are alive. We forget about our breath most of the time. It just keeps happening, like our heartbeat, until it doesn't. I was at home with my father when he died quietly and peacefully at the age of 82. He took his final slow in-breath and last gentle out-breath and disappeared. I gazed around his bedroom, hoping to catch some sign of him. His body was still there, but he was not. It was a very sacred, powerful, mysterious moment. My mother also died at home 6 years later, also at the age of 82. We moved into the same house and lived together the last 4 years of her life. She had severe emphysema and was on oxygen all the time. The most beautiful and intimate moment of my life was the last moment of her life. I lay beside her the whole night until dawn. At one point, she turned her head and whispered, "I love you." And I whispered back. As dawn approached, I wondered, how long does this dying take? I left her in the room and called the hospice nurse. I made a cup of coffee and went out on the porch to drink it as the sun came up. A few minutes later, the nurse appeared and said, "You better come back in. Her breathing has changed." I hurried back into her bedroom, sat down, and took her hand. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the last breath escaped her, even as the oxygen was still flowing into her. And just like my father's had done, her spirit slipped away from her visible form into the invisible dimension beyond my ability to see. I don't think it's any coincidence that the Latin root for both inspiration and expiration is the word spiritus, or spirit. We breathe in the spirit, inspire with our first breath, and we release it or expire with our last breath or our expiration date. My mother was with me when I took my first breath, and I was with both my parents when they took their last. Words cannot begin to describe the feeling of loving presence that was present in both of these extraordinary moments. I learned many things from my parents' deaths. One thing I learned was that when we breathe, we're doing more than extracting oxygen from the air. We are breathing in spirit, or prana, ki, life force, chi. I think of this every time we sing, "Spirit of life, come unto me." I think of this when I read Hafiz's beautiful words about the beloved presence breathing the world. I imagine that beloved presence breathing me and giving me life. It is when we breathe mindfully in the present moment that we become aware of the greater presence in us and in all of life. But it is not easy to stay grounded in the now, fully present in the present. Buddha taught his disciples, don't dwell in the past, don't dream of the future, concentrate on the present. Eckhart Tolle wrote a classic on the subject, The Power of Now. Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh says the only place we can be alive is the present with each breath. In his book, Peace is Every Step, he explains how doing just two things can create a joyful, peaceful, productive life. Mindful breathing and smiling. Sounds too good to be true, right? But he explains that just smiling relaxes 100 muscles in the body. And he calls smiling face yoga. In fact, there is a short breathing smile meditation that has helped me many times over the years. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Let's do it together a couple of times. It's really relaxing. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Repeating this several times is very helpful in calming a runaway mind. And I used it again just recently when I had my first experience with a runaway heartbeat. It was the Tuesday before Christmas, and my friend was driving me home after a holiday lunch together when I felt a strange heaviness in my chest. When I got home, I checked my pulse, and it seemed to be racing and very irregular, like boiling water. When I checked it on my blood pressure monitor gauge thing, it said BP 171/90 and pulse 143, which is twice as fast as a normal pulse. That scared me, which made my heart beat even faster. So wondering what to do, I decided to take deep mindful breaths, repeating, breathing in, I calm my body, breathing out, I smile. I must admit I didn't feel much like smiling when I got to that part, so I changed it. Changed the out-breath words to breathing out, my heart is calm. I kept it up for several minutes, deep, slow, mindful breathing, stating my intention as I breathed in and out. In a few minutes, my blood pressure started to go down, and in 20 to 30 minutes, it was in the normal range, and my pulse regulated. I called the doctor who wanted me to go to the emergency room, but since my heart had settled down, I went to urgent care instead. A few days later, I was fitted for a Holter heart monitor, and will follow up further January 9th. So far, so good. Seems to be pretty normal. I don't know about you, but this holiday season has been extra stressful for me. I've been very distracted and forgetful. And it seems like my mind is being pulled in a zillion different directions all the time. I almost lost my purse at the mall. I turned up an hour late for my doctor's appointment. I got an email from American Express saying my bill was past due. Perhaps the most unsettling of all was when I tried to put my toaster away and found myself opening not the cupboard door, but the refrigerator door. And thinking, this is too big to fit. Wait, this is the toaster. It's not supposed to go in the refrigerator. Oh dear. Well, December's theme has been hope. And I'd like to hope that 2018 is going to be a less crazy year. But I fear it's only going to get worse before it gets better. And I think we're all going to have to find new and better coping methods for dealing with the craziness. One of these methods for me will be more frequent mindful breathing breaks. It's the only thing that seems to pull my racing head and heart back into my body to hold the presence. And it's only when we are grounded in the present we can feel in ourselves that we can be present to another. And what good are we to our children, our parents, our partners, and our friends if we're not there for them, offering our mental presence as well as our physical presence? So yes, it's December 31st, New Year's Eve. It's appropriate to look back at the past and forward to the future. We elders love our memories, and the young folks need their dreams. But the only place any of us can be truly alive and useful, powerful and happy is in the present moment, the ever newly arising now. When we can do that, every eve is New Year's Eve. Every day is New Year's Day, and every moment is a new moment. The catch is, however, our mind and body have to be in the same place, the same moment, working together to actually be in the now, and this is no easy feat. At least, not for me. My mind has a mind of its own and rushes all over the place, leaving my body unattended a lot of the time. Sometimes I feel like my mind is on a zip line, zipping to the past, then zipping to the future, zip past, zip future. Yesterday, all my troubles seem tomorrow, tomorrow, I love you. Now when we must wake up, take a deep breath, bring that mind back to your body, Charlotte. Last year at this time, my younger LA daughter, Cassie, was visiting with her 2 sons, while her husband, Eric, was realizing a lifelong dream of visiting Antarctica. My older Wyoming daughter wrote in her Christmas card the following. My Wyoming daughter always makes her own Christmas card. Dear Mom, can't tell you how happy it makes me to think of you and Cassie and the boys all together for Christmas. The excitement, the chaos, the grumps, the love are the ingredients for precious memories which enrich us so as we anticipate and reminisce these times over and over. The real magic happens though if you can keep your wits about you and be totally present for most of the moments at the time. I know you know this, but this is my wish for you this Christmas, that you can inhabit a single moment fully, as often as you possibly can, and not just during that first sip of coffee in the morning. Merry Christmas, love, Carrie. And that is my wish for all of you in this coming year too, that you can inhabit a single moment fully, as often as you possibly can, and that you might remember in this season of gift giving that to be present in the present is the present, the best present you can offer yourself, your loved ones, and the world. And since there is no time like the present, let's take a few minutes in closing now to simply be and breathe together, thankful for each moment of our lives, thankful for each other, thankful for this beautiful earth of ours that through all the moments keeps turning.
Join us for worship every Sunday at 10 a.m. at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Canandaigua, a welcoming congregation. We are located at 3024 Cooley Road, 4 miles west of South Main Street, Canandaigua, just north of the intersection with Routes 5 and 20. Look for the blue signs just before the turn. Your comments about this program or questions about the church are welcome at 585-396-1370 or at our website, www.canandaiguauu.org. Producer and editor, Daniel Brigham.